Okay, so this is really big news for the left, guys, and it will have Keir Starmer's dead behind-the-eyed goons spluttering, I would imagine. It's a new poll by one of the main British pollsters, Ipsos. They find that 20% of British adults say they're very or fairly likely to vote for a new left-wing party founded by Jeremy Corbyn, the former Labour leader, and Zahra Sultana, who's a former Labour MP. And if this new left-wing party forms a pact with the Green Party, that figure rises to 31%. Now, bear in mind, Labour only won their landslide victory last year with 33.7% of the vote. And the proposed left-wing party doesn't even have a name yet, let alone even exist. So you've got to think about those figures in that context. Amongst voters aged 16 to 34, the figure drawn to the left-green alliance rises to 52%, so more than half of those younger voters. Now, you can see based on the polling about policies how their support could grow still further. Nearly half the public think the new left party's policy proposals would deliver a positive change for the country, and that rises to 7 in 10 of Britons who are under the age of 35. Now, according to Ipsos Director of UK Politics, these figures show that a new left-wing party, led by Jeremy Corbyn and Zahra Sultana, has the potential, listen to this, to shake up British politics. A significant number of younger people are at least prepared to consider voting for it, and a majority of those aged under 35 said they would consider voting for some kind of alliance between the new party and the Greens. Clear policies around change, the NHS, poverty and wealth taxes could be popular. Time will tell if the new party can turn this hypothetical appeal into real votes on a significant scale. Now, look, these findings are remarkable for a number of reasons. Jeremy Corbyn has been vilified like no other frontline British politician in the history of our democracy. There's been no favourable coverage of the proposed New Left Party at all. It's been sneered at, ridiculed, dismissed. Welcome to British media. That makes these results even more impressive. Now, the poll comes only 1 year after Labour won a landslide victory, albeit on the lowest share of the vote, as I say, of any triumphant party in history. The last Tory government was the most catastrophic in our democratic history. I think we can all agree on that. And the electorate was unquestionably desperate to get rid of it. The fact that a massive chunk of the electorate is already willing to abandon such a new government, well, that is testament to its catastrophic failure to offer any tangible change. Indeed, Labour's repeatedly offered worse change, hammering pensioners, scrapping the universal winter fuel payment, or seeking to drive hundreds of thousands of disabled people into poverty. What is the point of a Labour government that does that? They've continued, of course, to facilitate Israel's genocide of the Palestinian people as it becomes ever more depraved. Indeed, another survey by the pollsters YouGov underlines just how much the electorate has rejected this government, which is still pretty new. 69% say they disapprove of Labour's record, with just 13% approving. That means Labour's got an overall rating of minus 56. That's the same rating the Tories had just before the last election. But the Conservatives had been in power for 14 years. They'd presided over an unprecedented squeeze in living standards, collapsing public services, the Liz Truss catastrophe, the Boris Johnson catastrophe, multiple scandals, an increasingly despised hard Brexit deal, the worst political turmoil since World War II. We really could go on. Starmer's Labour has managed to make itself as unpopular in just 1 year as the Tories did after 14 years. 14 truly ruinous years. Now, there's a few challenges here, of course, for a new party, and that includes what sort of arrangement can be struck with the Green Party. Zach Polanski is standing to be their leader. Very impressed by him. He's run an extremely impressive, energetic insurgent campaign. Really principled, courageous guy. He wants to firmly position the Greens as a party of the left. That proposition itself faces a challenge from his leadership rivals, Ellie Chowns and Adrian Ramsey. They're MPs for two formerly Tory rural seats, which are completely unrepresentative of the Greens' other target seats. They're overwhelmingly Labour-held urban seats with very different demographics. Now, we'll have to see if an alliance can actually be forged, what's going to happen in the relationship between the two. Starmer's Labour have an obvious strategy they're going to deploy. They don't have a chance of winning on hope. Can you imagine them even trying that? So they're going to go for fear, which is the prospect of Nigel Farage becoming Prime Minister. As things stand, the polling shows Reform UK are way ahead. This is, in fact, due to Labour's dire failures. And in an electoral landscape which is splintered, what will matter is who manages to infuse and mobilise the most voters, which you clearly are not going to see Starmer's party doing. Now, the new party is going to have a clear strategy to deal with this campaign of fear, including beginning by throwing huge resources at target seats where Reform UK aren't in contention and, building out from there, I guess. But having clear messaging, for example, noting how Labour is raiding Farage's rhetoric and policies, which is only boosting Reform UK, well, I think that's going to be pretty important. Building an optimistic vision too, that's going to be another challenge. Voters really are fed up of despair and decline, but what? Thanks to the combined efforts of the Tories and Labour being as crap as they are, breaking through cynicism and resignation amongst voters, I think that's going to be a challenge. It'll be interesting to see how the party hammers away at a message of using Britain's vast resources, which are currently locked in the bank accounts of the tiny few, to build a new sort of society, to invest in public services, in living standards and security. Now, the candidates the party select, I think that's going to matter a lot. We saw from the successful independent candidates at the last general election how important it was they were embedded, rooted in their local communities. Given how Labour parachuted hacks into constituencies they've got no connection with. I mean, it was a joke. They just carved up these constituencies, pop them all in. That'll be an important dividing line. Now, in a fractured electoral landscape, it's not about winning 40% of the vote. It's about mobilising enough voters to win a decisive number of seats, certainly enough to, for example, secure a change in our electoral system. First past the post currently works against new political parties, and that's on the grounds voters feel compelled to vote for lesser evils. Getting there means an unapologetic campaign of redirecting justified anger that people feel at elites rather than migrants, refugees, and offering a hopeful vision that inspires communities long afflicted by stagnation and decline. How the party communicates will matter given the hostility of the mainstream media. I think a big test is going to be the use of social media. The radical right has proven so adept at using TikTok with viral content that's snappy, to the point, clever enough and witty. Got to be honest. It could mean poster campaigns with provocative messages. Picking fights, that's surely going to matter too. For example, when the Labour government got rid of the universal winter fuel payment, a big campaign accusing them of killing our grannies. It's provocative, I know, but it caused a storm, but it forces your opponents onto your terrain. Another, promising to send those complicit in Israel's genocide to jail. Why not put that on a poster with the faces, for example, of Keir Starmer and David Lammy? Oh, it would cause an almighty stink, but it would force the debate on their terms. Now, there's a lot of young, savvy communicators out there who I'm sure they'll snap up. They're also helped by the fact that, unlike in 2015, when Corbyn became leader, the left has had time to develop ideas relevant to the world that we're in. There's an army now of progressive economists, academics, thinkers whose work is waiting, I think, to be harnessed. Now, by failing to offer an alternative to an economic system rigged only in favour of wealthy elites, and by facilitating genocide abroad, Labour's left a massive, whopping vacuum in British politics. Let's hope there's something compelling to fill it. But I think we should be excited. I think this shows that out there's a massive appetite for this. It just needs gusto, it needs determination, it needs imagination, courage. I think it's exciting because this government is such a catastrophic failure. I mean, my standards really were low. I think you remember what I said before the election. We can see what's happened. And that's because they don't have an answer to a system which cannot be reformed. Well, they've not even tried to reform it. They're not even tinkering with it. They just keep making it worse. That's the point. They're not even humanising it. We've got to build something else. This system doesn't work. It can't be made to work, and we've got to build something else. That's what this is about. Please like and subscribe. Leave your thoughts in your comments. Help us take on the establishment media at patreon.com/Unjust84. You make everything we do possible. I'm currently abroad. I'll explain very shortly where I am. I'm finishing this book called The Fall of the West. Dramatic. So then I'll be able to focus on the videos again. So yeah, please like and subscribe. Leave your thoughts in your comments and share the video. I'll speak to you in a bit.